Welcome to ICI Podcast. Last week we discussed in Enoch's 13 through 16. Last week we talked about the punishment of God that he gave to the 200 angels that came down to earth and interbred with human women, and how their offspring would become evil spirits that would trouble humans until the time of judgment. This week, what we're going to discuss is this section, Enoch 17 through 19, where we look at Enoch's travels and the visions that he's been being shown, and where he's traveling through the northwest, and he sees the places of judgment for these same 200 angels, where they're being held, and some of the things that they're up to. So let's just dive right in with Enoch 17, verse 1. And they took me and carried me to a place where those who were there were like a burning fire. And when they wished, they appeared as men. So these would have been angels, and that could possibly lead you to believe that maybe all angels don't have that ability. But these particular angels that Enoch was shown, they could appear as men. And then they brought me to the place of darkness and to a mountain, the point of whose summit reached to heaven. And I saw the places of the luminaries, being the sun, moon, and the stars, and the treasuries and storehouses of the stars and of the thunder in the uttermost depths, where there was a bow of fire and arrows and their quiver and a fiery sword and all the lightnings. So these are some biblical parallels where you see these same references. So we'll start here in Habakkuk 3:11. Sun and moon stood still in the heavens, and the glint of your flying arrows at the lightning of your flashing spear. And then there's Job 38:22 through 23. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow, or seen the storehouses of the hail, which I reserved for times of trouble, for the days of war and battle? So it's saying in the Bible, God actually has the storehouses where he keeps all of these various things at his disposal for when he needs them. And then continuing on with verse 4 in Enoch, and they took me to the living waters and to the fire of the west, which receives every setting of the sun. So basically here what we're seeing is Enoch is seeing the boundaries of creation and how creation is under God's control. So this is what Enoch is being walked through right now. And I came to a river of fire, whose fire flows like water and empties into the great sea towards the west. And I saw the great rivers, and I reached the great river and the great darkness, and I went where no flesh walks. And I saw the mountains of the darkness of winter, and the place where all the waters of the deep flow. And I saw the mouth of all the rivers of the earth, and the mouth of the deep. So again, this is like a cosmic geography that Enoch is being walked through. He's been being shown all the hidden structures of the universe and the control of the weather and the stars and the boundaries of creation, emphasizing that God is in control of all of this. So continuing on with Enoch 18. And I saw the treasuries of all the winds, and I saw how he had furnished them with the winds, and how he had stored them in the storehouses of the winds. And I saw the corner of the earth where the firmament rests upon it, and the pillars of heaven. And I saw the winds of heaven that stretch out and stand between heaven and earth. These are the pillars of heaven. And I saw the winds that turn the heaven, that cause the sun and all the stars to set. And I saw the winds upon the earth that carry the clouds. And I saw the paths of the angels. And I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of heaven above. So again, it talks about in that same passage that I just read in Job 38, verse 24 is talking about these same storehouses, and that what is the way to the place where the lightning is dispersed, or the place where the east winds are scattered over the earth? This is talking about those same storehouses. So then continue on with verse 5 in Enoch 18. Excuse me. And then in verse 5, right above what we just read, where it says, I saw at the end of the earth the firmament of the heaven above. Proverbs 8:27 through 29 parallels that very nicely. And it says, I was there when he set the heavens in place, when he marked out the horizon on the face of the deep, when he established the clouds above and fixed securely the fountains of the deep, when he gave the sea its boundary, so the waters could not overstep his command, and when he marked out the foundations of the earth. So again, showing that God is the one that created these boundaries for creation and set up all of the, the seasons and how all of these different things, the sun, moon, and stars, the wind, how it all works in his control, how he is directed, and that he's in control of all that. So moving on with verse 6. And I proceeded and saw a place that burns day and night, where there are 7 mountains of magnificent stones, 3 towards the east and 3 towards the south. And among them was a 7th mountain that was right in the center of them, and its summit was like the throne of God, and it was of alabaster, and the summit of the throne was of sapphire. So most likely here he's describing the area around the throne of God. These mountains that are around this are around his area. And I saw a burning fire, and beyond these mountains is a place, the end of the great earth. There the heavens come to an end. So while I was reading this description, it occurred to me, we might think, I don't know what you guys think, but that heaven might be far away. But it's also there's a potential as well that it's just simply in another dimension that we cannot see, that it might not be all that far away. I think that's very likely. And I saw a deep abyss with columns of heavenly fire, and among them I saw columns of fire falling, and they were beyond measure in both height and depth. And beyond this abyss, I saw a place where there is neither firmament of heaven above, nor the foundations of the earth below, nor water, nor birds, but it was a desolate place. And there I saw 7 stars like great burning mountains, and like spirits they pleaded with me. So now he's seeing the judgment area of where these angels that have fallen are being held. Also, stars is another word for angels. You'll see in Revelation 1:20, it says, the mystery of the 7 stars that you saw in my right hand and the 7 golden lampstands is this. The 7 stars are the angels of the 7 churches. So stars are a reference to angels. Then Uriel said to me, now we're back in verse 12, this is a place where the heavens and the earth come to an end. This has become a prison for the stars and the powers of heaven. And the stars that roll over upon the fire, these are the ones that transgressed the command of the Lord Most High. They were bound here until the time of completion of their sin in the year of mystery. This means until the time of the end, which we don't know, hence the word mystery. Hades, which is a place of disembodied. Okay, so Hades is an actual place, and it's referred to in Revelation 20. Are these angels actually burning? I don't think so, but I don't think it's a very pleasant place. But what is Hades? It is a place of disembodied spirits. And I think this part of Hades that it's referencing here, like I said, they're not actually burning, but again, not a pleasant place. One of the places it's referenced is in Revelation 20, 13 through 1, like I said. So that verse says, the sea gave up the dead that was in it, and death and Hades gave up the dead that were in them, and each person, so these disembodied spirits, and each person was judged according to what they had done, because he brings them back to life at the time of judgment. Then death and Hades were thrown into the lake of fire. The lake of fire is the second death. So this place of Hades is referenced in the Bible, in Revelation, and I'm sure there's others. And Uriel said to me, moving on with verse 14, in chapter 18, here the angels who mingled with women stand, and their spirits, having assumed many forms, defile mankind and lead them astray to sacrifice to demons as to gods until the day of the great judgment in which they will be judged and they will be made an end of. So this is something that is happening to this day. I'm going to get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. Verse 15, and the women of the angels who went astray will become sirens. Okay, what does siren mean in this verse? The word siren is used to translate certain Hebrew terms for desolate, mournful desert creatures, most often ostriches or desert owls. So the Hebrew word, no, I'm sure I'm going to slaughter it here, but it's banat ya'ana, literally means daughters of ostriches or howling ones. So that's what the word siren means here. So these are the spirits of these women who interbred with these angels, knowing what they were doing was wrong. So now, chapter 19. And Uriel said to me, and this is me being Enoch, here shall stand the angels who mingled with the women, and their spirits, having assumed many different forms. Bring destruction on men and lead them astray to sacrifice to the demons as gods until the day of the great judgment in which they will be judged, and there will be made an end of at that time. So, who are some of these gods that humans are sacrificing to this very day? Well, that would be Moloch, Baphomet. These are just the ones that I know of off the top of my head. Usually children. They're sacrificing. I know that sounds crazy and maybe not even true, but it's absolutely true, unfortunately, and it is crazy. But it is happening. Unfortunately, behind the curtains, but it's starting to be revealed to us that this is actually going on. And the women of the angels who went astray shall become sirens, and I, Enoch, alone saw the vision, the end of all things, and no one among men will see as I have seen. So Enoch is saying right here, nobody else is going to get to see this. He alone is the one who gets to see it. And that is the end of Enoch 19. So, and a little bit more about these sacrificing to these gods. More often than not, or absolutely why they're doing this is because, well, they've chosen their God, and their God is Satan, and they use it, and they do it to have power. And their power is to be over, everybody else. People who are actually pulling the strings behind the curtains, who are controlling everything and causing the chaos that we see in our world. It is caused by these people who worship Satan and do these things. And we need to be aware that this is going on. It is going on today. And it says that these demons take many different forms, and sometimes we see them, and and we think we're going crazy, but sometimes they human beings allow themselves to be the vessel which these demons have attached themselves to, and we get glimpses of these beings. Others of us have the ability to this Holy Spirit gives us sight, and sometimes we can see in some of us can see in these other dimensions, but we don't have to be afraid of these things, because the Bible says greater is he who is in us than he who is in the world. He has given us authority to crush these beings beneath, and this evil beneath our heels. That's Luke 10:19, I think. He has given us authority. We just have to come under his authority. So on that note, I hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see you again to discuss more about Enoch next Friday.